Hello there folks, my name's Adam Martin and welcome to the 2023 edition of my Doctor Who DVD and Blu-ray collection. I think it's almost like a rite of passage that many people who have Doctor Who channels do videos like this, however I haven't done one of these in quite a while. Back on my main channel I last did one of these towards the end of 2020, so it's been well over 2 years, and the DVD and Blu-ray collection on my shelf here has certainly changed. I've moved it over to the left-hand side shelf, it used to be on the right-hand side, and we've got Blu-ray collection sets, we've got DVDs of animations, a lot more steelbooks, even 4K sets, lots of new stuff. So I hope you can sit back, relax, and join me as I take you through my Doctor Who DVD and Blu-ray collection. And for anyone asking, you can see Daleks, TARDISes at the top. There's a lot more Doctor Who stuff I have, but I think we'll get to those in different videos. So starting off with, of course, the stories that started it all. This is the beginning box set, which came out around early 2006. I remember getting this, I think, the Christmas of 2006. I was so excited to watch Doctor Who's Origins for the first time. You can see the box is a little beaten up. I mean, it's been well loved, well worn, that's for sure. So what stories does this contain? Well, it's the very first 3 adventures that ever were broadcast on the telly. So you have An Unearthly Child, or 100,000 BC. You have the Daleks, or the Mutants, or the Dead Planet, or all the other names that it has. And you have the Edge of Destruction, also known as Inside the Spaceship. All 3 of these are belters, by the way. Cracking stories, so definitely recommend checking out Doctor Who's Origins, one of the strongest starts in all TV, really. Following on from that, we have the Keys of Marinus. We have the Aztecs. This is the special edition that came out in 2013. Obviously, it's got more mastering than the original release, as well as a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. Also from Season 1, you have the Sensorites, which is like a hit or miss story people like. And you have the Reign of Terror, which does have 2 episodes missing, 4 and 5, but they have been animated in this case. You can enjoy it here. Now, just as a preface for Season 1, the obvious outlier here is Marco Polo, which was the 4th story, and no episodes exist, sadly. Some people take like the audio releases of the missing stories, put them in DVD cases and put them on the shelves. I don't do that personally. That's not a slight on anyone who does. It's merely just a personal preference on my part. I do have most of those missing stories in some form, but we'll get to them when we get there. Moving on then to Season 2, we of course have the lovely Blu-ray collection set. Now this came out in December 2022, it's one of the more recent additions to the collection, and I've already done a full review of it on the main channel, so you can go and check that out. But the stories included here are Planet of Giants, the Dalek Invasion of Earth, The Rescue, The Romans, The Web Planet, The Crusade, The Space Museum, The Chase, and The Time Meddler. A stacked season. Really glad that this is out there. Get it while you can. It probably will have a standard edition release some point later down the line, but if you really want to experience this, then absolutely grab this set. Beautifully done. Moving on to Season 3 then, one of the most heavily affected seasons in terms of missing episodes. We do have Galaxy 4, which of course was animated in 2021, so that did get a DVD release there. We have The Ark, which has all 4 of its episodes intact. We have The Gunfighters, which also has all its episodes intact. Often maligned, but I find this one, it's a bit of fun. You know, quite a bit of fun if you don't think about it too much. Then the Season 3 finale, thankfully, is all intact, which is The War Machines. Feels very modern for its time, more like a second Doctor story, but really cool. Introduces Ben and Polly. Great stuff. Moving on to Season 4, we have the First Doctor's final story, which is The 10th Planet. Episode 4 sadly remains missing, although it's been animated for this release. Then on to Patrick Troughton, we have The Power of the Daleks. Now, this is the special edition. This came out in 2020. This is all animation and updated animation, but it's a fantastic story no matter how you experience it. Then we have The Underwater Menace, which it says that sticker includes previously unreleased episode. This release came out in 2015. It had the, at the time, recently recovered episode 2, which is the earliest surviving Patrick Troughton episode we now have. It's not the best DVD release, you know, the Telesnap reconstruction is a bit... It leaves a lot to be desired. However, at the time of recording this, early 2023, there are rumblings that an animation is going to follow on soon. And I did actually do a video discussing that possibility, so go and check that out if you haven't already. We have The Moon Base, which is an excellent Cyberman story. 2 episodes are missing. They've been gorgeously animated, though, so definitely get this release. We have The Macra Terror, which was animated. Again, animated really well. This seems to be a fan favorite in terms of the animations. Really solid stuff. We have The Faceless Ones. Episode 1 and 3 survive, although all 6 episodes were animated for this release. Again, I think it gave it a new lease of life for those who maybe hadn't experienced it before. Then we have one of, if not my favorite of the animated stories, which is The Evil of the Daleks, a 7-episode belter. Seeing this on the big screen at the BFI was a joy, and then rewatching it recently. It's just such a solid story. So if you haven't seen Evil of the Daleks, please get the animation, support that work. Really solid stuff. Moving on to Season 5, we kick off with the opener, The Tomb of the Cybermen. This is the special edition from the old Revisitation box set. Has all its episodes intact. One of my favourite Doctor Who stories of all time. Wonderful. And then we have a slew of animations now, The Abominable Snowmen, which again, at the time of me recording this, is the most recent one and perceived to be the last. We'll see if that remains true. We have The Ice Warriors, which has 4 of its 6 episodes intact. The other 2 have been... yes, they were animated for this, weren't they? Yeah, so that's a good base under siege. You have The Enemy of the World. This is the special edition release from 2018. I'm so glad all of this story was found, because it went from being like one people skipped over to being like one of the most highly revered of the classic era, and it's great. Really recommend The Enemy of the World there. You have the Web of Fear special edition. Yes, this is the version where episode 3 is represented by an experimental, shall we say, 3D animation, which not a lot of people liked. I appreciate the effort, but yeah, it's certainly got a mixed reception, to say the least. Then we have Fury from the Deep, again, all 6 episodes animated. This story I preferred listening to just as an audio release. I don't know, seeing visuals of it in any form. I think even if we had the original visuals, just didn't quite do it for me. But a great audio listen, absolutely. Then we move on to Season 6. We've got The Dominators, which of course features the Quarks, the ever-lovable Quarks, one of my least favourite Doctor Who stories personally, but I can still get some enjoyment out of it, I guess. We have The Mind Robber, on the flip side, one of the best Patrick Troughton stories ever. Love that stuff, all the fiction, Land of Fiction stuff. You have The Invasion, which, The Invasion's like comfort food for me. It's 8 episodes, it is very long, and 2 episodes are animated, but I can just whack this on and just like zone out. It's just a really easy watch for me, so great stuff there. You have The Crotons, which has a great documentary on it, on the Second Doctor's era. But yeah, the story, mixed reception, I think. We have The Seeds of Death special edition. Again, this came from an old Revisitations box set. I need to rewatch this because a lot of people keep telling me it's brilliant, but I haven't watched it in, well, quite literally years. So that should be next on my list. Then you have the Season 6 finale, The War Games, the 10-episode epic. Now, yes, it's long, but again, sort of like The Invasion, I can breeze through this. This is just such a easy watch in the best sense. I love the concepts explored here. Obviously, the Time Lords get introduced here. It's quite a grandiose finale, so couldn't recommend The War Games enough, to be honest. Now the John Pertwee era, we're into Season 7, and we're in colour. And we're kicking off with Spearhead from Space. This is the special edition release from 2010 or 11, sometime around there. Now, I am aware there is a Blu-ray for Spearhead from Space and a steelbook as well. I haven't got those just yet, because for anyone who doesn't know, Spearhead from Space was shot on film due to various industrial action that was going on, which means that it's ripe for a HD release, and that did come out back in 2016. However, with the likelihood of a Season 7 set coming in the not-too-distant future, upgrading just one story to Blu-ray now seems a little bit pointless. If you ask me, I'd rather just wait for the Season 7 set, so that's why I still have it on standard DVD. Then we have Doctor Who and the Silurians, a wonderful 7-part. Season 7 is my favourite classic season, by the way, so all of these stories I love, so the Silurians is no exception. You have the Ambassadors of Death, a hugely underrated story in my opinion. Very excellent work there. And then you have Inferno. This is the special edition release, and again, some wonderful storytelling here. Really tense, really action-packed. It doesn't feel dull whatsoever. I love Inferno. I love Season 7. I'm begging for that collection set of Season 7. That will be an instant pre-order for me. Then we have Season 8, which I've represented here in the standard edition release of the collection set. So what I do is, you probably saw it at the beginning, but when the standard editions come out, they're the ones that go on the shelf. I do keep the limited editions. They're on the bottom there. They are represented, but it's a space-saving measure more than anything. Do you know what I mean? But the stories represented here are Terror of the Autons, The Mind of Evil, The Claws of Axos, Colony in Space, and The Demons, all of which are wonderful stories. The John Pertwee era... am I going to say that? It rarely, if ever, has any misses for me. Truly, if there are, I'll get to them. But Season 8 is wonderful. Season 9, then, we kick off with Day of the Daleks. Now, this was a story when I was really young. It was one of those I really wanted to see. It sounded cool and epic. And when I finally watched it several years later, as kids do, it wasn't as cool as I thought it was in my head. However, it's still a really fun story. And the option of the updated voices and effects and stuff is a nice extra. Then we have The Curse of Peladon, a really solid 4-part story there, featuring the Ice Warriors in a role that you wouldn't necessarily expect them. Then you have the Sea Devils. Some say this is like lesser to the Silurians. I wouldn't say lesser. It's different, absolutely, and I think I enjoy the Silurians more, but it's still an excellent story. Then you have the Mutants. This one is probably as close as it comes for me, or one of the ones where it's close it comes to being a miss. Although when I rewatched it recently, I still actually really enjoyed what was going on. But yeah, it's maybe not as engaging as some of the others. Then we have the Time Monster. I'll defend the Time Monster till the end, man. When I rewatched this over the pandemic, I loved it. I loved like the vibe of it, what it was going for. A lot of people dog on this one, but I really enjoyed the Time Monster. What can I say? Then we have Season 10, which again I have represented here via the standard edition of the Blu-ray. Season 10 is a very special one for me because it has two stories that were some of the first ever Classic Who I watched. The Three Doctors, which that was the first Classic Who I ever watched, and I still have my original DVD elsewhere. Carnival of Monsters is on there. That was another early one for me. You also have Frontier in Space, Planet of the Daleks, and The Green Death. So again, a solid collection of 5 stories there. Really happy to have that in the collection. Then we have Season 11. We kick off with The Time Warrior. Now, The Time Warrior, for me, I'm going to be honest, isn't one I personally rave about. Yes, it introduces Sarah Jane Smith. It's a rare trip into the past for the Third Doctor, but I don't know what it is. There's just something about it. It doesn't win me over quite as much as others. Then you have Invasion of the Dinosaurs, which, yes, bar like the weird dinosaur effects of the time, I think is a really great story, one of the best of the era. You have Death to the Daleks. Some would say the weakest of the 3 Pertwee Dalek stories, but, you know, still a lot of fun nonetheless. Then you have the penultimate story. We've moved on to the second shelf as well. The Monster of Peladon. Nowhere near as good as Curse. Again, like the Mutants, this probably comes as close as possible to being a miss for me, but, you know, there's still lots to enjoy. Then we have Planet of the Spiders, the Third Doctor's swan song, and a really solid finale. Again, it's 6 parts, but a lot of the Third Doctor 6-parters, for me at least, I really enjoy. I don't find them boring. I find them quite entertaining to watch through, and it all goes quite quickly, so that's a win from me. Then we enter the Tom Baker era. So here we have Season 12 again, represented in the Standard Edition collection box set. So the stories here are Robot, The Ark in Space, The Sontaran Experiment, Genesis of the Daleks, and Revenge of the Cybermen. Now this has some stories that are highly revered. You know, Ark in Space, Genesis, they're always talked about. Ark in Space is brilliant. Genesis is cool too. My opinions on it have softened over the years, but yeah, still, again, really nice solid collection set to have, and thankfully no longer madly sought after like the original one was. Then we have Season 13, truly into like the Hinchcliffe era now. So we've got Terror of the Zygons, which was intended to be the last DVD release in 2013. You know, this is before consistent animations, missing episode discoveries, and all that sort of stuff. You have Planet of Evil there. You have Pyramids of Mars, the Android Invasion, the Brain of Morbius, and the Seeds of Doom. And I think it's fair to say a lot of these stories in Season 13 are considered to be, by many fans, the golden age of Doctor Who. And to be honest, most of those stories are belters. The closest one to being a dud for me is probably the Android Invasion, but again, there's still bits to like about it. The cast are on form. You know, you've got Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen as a fantastic duo. So I think there's going to be a lot of eyes when that comes to Blu-ray. Then we have Season 14, which is another set that has been released to Blu-ray, and I've got here the standard edition. So the stories we have here are The Mask of Mandragora, The Hand of Fear, The Deadly Assassin, The Face of Evil, The Robots of Death, and The Talons of Weng Chiang. Now, nearly every story I mentioned to you there is considered like, you know, S tier when it comes to classic Doctor Who watchers or just fans generally. You know, things like The Robots of Death, Deadly Assassin, even Talons of Weng Chiang, despite some of its more awkward moments, shall we say. So I'd say if you want to get into classic Who, especially Tom Baker, and you want to get a flavour of what that era was like, I'd highly recommend Season 14. Although Tom Baker's era does go through a lot of changes, starting with Season 15, you know, change of production team. We're in the Graham Williams era now. So you have Horror of Fang Rock, which is very much a Hinchcliffe era tale, let's be honest, but very good. The Invisible Enemy, which saw the introduction of everyone's favourite dog, K9. Image of the Fendal, very creepy gothic horror. The Sunmakers, which is an affront to the tax system, which, you know, fair enough if you ask me. Then you have Underworld, and I mean, all I can say about Underworld is they tried. They really did. If you watch it, you'll see what I mean. And The Invasion of Time, which again, I love The Invasion of Time. It gets a lot of bad rap. It gets a lot of, you know, the mick taken out of it. But it's a great Gallifrey story. I think, you know, the 6 parts breeze on by. Really solid stuff. Then Season 16, of course, was the first to really attempt a through-line season arc, if you like. This is the Key to Time season. So each of the stories, you know, it's about finding a segment of the Key to Time. I'm very mixed on this one, to be honest, because, you know, it promises an epic quest. You know, this is Doctor Who in 1978, 79. It can't really realise it to the full extent that it wants to. It doesn't mean it's bad. It didn't necessarily live up to the hype. Or maybe that was my fault. I don't know. But let's take a look. So the first 3 stories here, we have the Reboss Operation, which arguably is the strongest segment for me. The Pirate Planet, which is written by Douglas Adams of Hitchhiker's fame. The Stones of Blood, which is the 100th Doctor Who adventure, technically, which is pretty cool. Then parts 4 to 6, there's the Androids of Tara, The Power of Kroll, and the Armageddon Factor, which sadly isn't the best finale, but, you know, what are you going to do? But that's there anyway. And then season 17 is here. This is where things go really off the rails in terms of, like, the wackiness, some of the comedic elements, and some people love that. You know, some people love that in their Doctor Who. I don't mind dribs and drabs, but it has Destiny of the Daleks, City of Death, The Creature from the Pit, Nightmare of Eden, The Horns of Nimon, and it would have had Sharda, but of course Industrial Action cancelled it. A version of Sharda is presented here though. It's the animated version from 2017, so you are still getting the complete season as much as possible. That's a really fun set. Season 18 is also represented, this time in standard edition packaging. This is where things obviously take a turn. John Nathan Turner takes over as producer, and you have, what do you have here? You have The Leisure Hive, Meglos, Full Circle, State of Decay, Warrior's Gate, The Keeper of Traken, and Legopolis. A lot more somber tales with a very much somber fourth Doctor. Season 19 then, the Peter Davison era starts as the fifth Doctor. So what stories you got here? You have Castrovalva, 4 to Doomsday, Kinder, The Visitation, Black Orchid, Earthshock, and Time Flight. Some real classics in there. Earthshock, of course, even Castrovalva, I think, and Kinder. Lots of great opening stories there. You have then season 20 kicks off with Arc of Infinity, which has Omega returning. And of course, the premise of season 20 is returning characters. So in Snake Dance, that's a sequel to last season. So you've got the Mara. Then you have the Black Guardian trilogy, where, as implied, the Black Guardian returns. A very loose trilogy in the sense of a word, but it contains Mordrin Undead, where the Brigadier comes back. It has Terminus, which sees Nyssa leave, and Enlightenment, which is just a really cool concept for a story. The season concludes with the rather underwhelming The King's Demons, honestly one of the most underwhelming Doctor Who stories I think there is, personally. But there is, of course, the 20th anniversary special, The Five Doctors, which does salvage things somewhat. Similar to The Three Doctors, this was one of my first classic stories. I adore it to the moon and back, and you should definitely check it out. Moving on to season 21 then, we have Warriors of the Deep, featuring the Silurians and Sea Devils, followed by The Awakening, very interesting two-parter. Frontios there, explores some cool concepts. Resurrection of the Daleks, one of my favourite Dalek stories. Yes, it's very violent, some say for the sake of, but I think it's a great adventure. Planet of Fire then sees Peri introduced, and then followed by The Caves of Androzani. This is the special edition, and to be honest, this is one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time. A great regeneration story, a great swan song for Peter Davison's Doctor, and it's been repeatedly voted in different polls and stuff as the best Doctor Who story of all time. So definitely one worth your time and your money. Moving on to Colin Baker as the sixth Doctor, we have the Twin Dilemma now. I often get a reputation as being like a Twin Dilemma stan. All I'm saying is it's nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. I do feed into it a little bit, but it's not the worst Doctor Who story of all time. Come on, give it some slack. Then we have season 22. I want to say as well, a lot of these collection box sets did have reviews on my main channel, so you can go and check them out there if you're interested. But this one's a very special season for me because I experienced most of it when I was a kid. A lot of the stories hold a lot of positive memories for me personally. So it has Attack of the Cybermen, Vengeance on Varos, The Mark of the Rani, The Two Doctors, Time Lash, and Revelation of the Daleks. All fantastic stories in my opinion in their own way. Season 23 as well, so we have the Sixth Doctor completely on Blu-ray, and this is the Trial of a Time Lord saga, which again is often maligned, but every time I rewatch it, I really enjoy going through the trial stuff. So big win for me. Moving on then till Sylvester McCoy's Seventh Doctor, we have Season 24, again represented here in the Blu-ray collection set. Very soon to have its standard edition release, by the way. So I'm recording this January 2023. That release should come in February. But this season is often maligned, but it's just a lot of fun. It's so much fun if you switch your brain off, and that's why I always love it. Season 25, Remembrance of the Daleks. This is the special edition. And again, one of the best Doctor Who stories ever across all eras, man. That's all I'm going to say. Go watch it. The Happiness Patrol, which also gets a lot of love from me, especially as I grew older. People dog on it for the Candyman, but if you look past the Candyman, there's a lot of good content in there. And then Silver Nemesis, which is probably the weakest one, but there's still a lot of fun to be had. The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, really interesting story for sure there. Season 26 I have here in the standard edition format, so what does that have? You know, that has Battlefield, it has Ghosts Like the Curse of Fenric, Survival. Those last two in particular, you know, considered some of the best of the Seventh Doctor's era. So, I mean, what can I say? You gotta check these Sylvester sets out, man. Then we move on to Paul McGann and the TV movie. Now, I do have this in Blu-ray because, I mean, again, at the time of recording, it's not sure if, because obviously, yes, the McGann movie is here, it's on Blu-ray, but is he going to have his own collection set? Because, what would you pack that with? A lot of stuff from the Wilderness years, I imagine. But so as its future is currently uncertain, I thought, why not pick up the Blu-ray? It's got all the special features and stuff you want from the past DVD releases, so I feel like you're getting all your money's worth. And it's just a solid adventure. Don't care what anyone says. Then what else do we have? We have More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS, a documentary from 1993-94, obviously looking back at Doctor Who then. We have Scream of the Shalka, which was done during the 40th anniversary in 2003, a very flash animation, 6-part, I think they're only 15-minute episodes. Not the best thing ever, but it's, has its merit. Then we have Lost in Time. Now, for many years, this was like the fans' Bible when it came to surviving episodes of missing stories. This was released in 2004, and if we flick to the back, it contains 18 full episodes from the first and second Doctor's eras, mostly second Doctor. The only sad thing about Lost in Time now is that most of these episodes have had releases either via, their episodes being animated or being found. So just looking at the list here, the only episodes that haven't made its way to, either a Blu-ray or an animated set is The Daleks' Master Plan, The Celestial Toymaker, The Wheel in Space, and The Space Pirates. So out of the 18 full episodes, there's 7 episodes that haven't either had, a corresponding DVD, Blu-ray, animated release there. So a lot of people would say getting Lost in Time now is mostly redundant. Again, this set's nearly 20 years old and a lot of things have been sorted out. But I mean, at the moment, in terms of DVD, those 7 remaining episodes are the only way you can officially watch them. So, I still say it has a merit until all of them have been complete. Then we move on to the modern series. Yes, I mean, you might have seen at the start, I display my steelbooks for these on the front rather than slotting them in on the shelf. Again, that's just personal choice. I think it looks nice. And also, I've gone through these. I mean, I used to have them on DVD, then I upgraded to Blu-ray, and then the steelbooks. And I'd like the steelbooks, that's it. Not doing it anymore with the modern series, but let's see what we've got. So we've got the complete first series, obviously from 2005, the relaunch of the show. We have Series 2, first starred David Tennant. Series 3, the season with Martha. Series 4, with Donna. Of course, these two are returning this year, which is pretty cool. Then we have the specials from 2009 as well, and this has at the time, a new interview with David Tennant, which is pretty cool. Then onto the Matt Smith era, there's Series 5, and we also have Series 6. I never really connected that well with the Matt Smith era, just on a personal level. We have Series 7 as well, and this release does contain both halves. The front cover is dedicated to the first half, and then the back is the second half, but don't worry, all of Series 7 is there. You have the 50th anniversary special, so things like Day of the Doctor, Night of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor, all that sort of stuff. Really cool release, actually. One of the better steelbooks they put out. You have the 8 series. This is my personal favourite series of Doctor Who's revival. Peter Capaldi's brilliant. I love the more darker storytelling or character traits of this Doctor to begin with. I wish they continued down this route at least for a little bit longer, but as it stands still, 9 years nearly after broadcast, this is my favourite revival era series. Now, Series 9 I have here on DVD. Any Who fan who collects steelbooks will know the Series 9 steelbook is horrifically expensive. Why is that? Well, I think at the time, I think it was one of the first Doctor Who steelbooks full stop when it came out in early 2016. It was an Amazon exclusive. I think not many people bought into it at the time because they didn't have steelbooks for the other sets. But then when they started doing that, the value went up and up and up. And I believe if you go on CEX, which is a secondhand retailer, the price of it is something mad like £475. So yeah, not getting that steelbook anytime soon. However, I do have it on DVD. I bought this when it came out. This was before I had a Blu-ray player. And again, I could upgrade to Blu-ray. It'd probably be cheaper to do that now than what I paid for the DVDs at the time. But I don't know. I just live in hope that the BBC will do a re-release of the Series 9 steelbook. I'm hoping. And if that's the case, that would be marvelous. So yeah, DVD for now. I do have Series 10 on steelbook, though, with this gorgeous artwork here. And a lot of people have a lot of love for Series 10. I love it too, but Series 8 and 9 clinch it for me. And then I have Twice Upon a Time. Now, why I have this on DVD is because it isn't included on the Series 10 steelbook, which is a great shame if you ask me. So a standalone release had to do. Again, when I first bought this, I didn't have a Blu-ray player, so DVD it was. And then also I got it signed by Waris Hussein, the very first director of Doctor Who from 1963. Why did I get him to sign this? A story he had no involvement with. Basically, when I met him, where I was living at the time, I had very limited Doctor Who stuff with me, like home media or things to sign. So I picked this because at the time it was the only thing that vaguely had the first Doctor on it. And bless his heart, you know, when I gave it to him, he says, "Oh, I don't think I had a hand in this one." And I had to be like, well, no, you didn't. But, you know, it's the first Doctor. And I mean, he was very sweet. Lovely gentleman, Waris Hussein. Then you have the complete 11th series, so we're coming into the Jodie Whittaker era here, so that's all of Series 11. You have all of Series 12. This does have the Resolution special. It does not, however, contain Revolution of the Daleks, which is a great shame. However, there is some space for another disc, so you can buy the Revolution of the Daleks Blu-ray separately and then move the disc over. I know that's a lot more hassle, but that's what we're given. We have Doctor Who Flux, the complete 13th series here, of course, from 2021, and then we have up to date the Series 13 specials, which of course are Eve of the Daleks, Legend of the Sea Devils, and The Power of the Doctor. And all of these steelbooks I've reviewed on the main channel, some more recent, some years ago, so I'll put them on screen now and leave some links either in the cards or in the description, so you can go and check those out if you're interested. Then we have some spin-off stuff, starting off with the Sarah Jane Adventures, the complete collection, Series 1 to 5. Now, this is a very recent edition. I held off on this for the longest time. It is DVD. There's no... Oddly enough, seasons of Sarah Jane Adventures do have Blu-ray releases, but the complete collection is only on DVD, which is a bit odd. But nevertheless, I watched Series 1 and 2 avidly at the time, but when we got to 2009, I'd sort of reached that awkward teenage age where I stopped watching CBBC so avidly. But I've got it now, and I can't wait to go back through this wonderful spin-off with Elizabeth Sladen. We also have Class, Series 1, or the only series, if you like. This is a recent addition. I used to have the DVD for ages, finally upgraded it to Blu-ray, since, let's face it, guys, the chances of a Series 2 of Class are minimal to none. Big Finish is continuing it on, but yeah, on TV, I don't see it happening, sadly. But I think the show got a lot of hate when it didn't need to. It was better than people said, I think. This is a recent one as well, a documentary, Doctor Who Am I? This is done by Matthew Jacobs, who is the writer of the Paul McGann movie, and it sort of explores his connection with the Doctor Who fandom, him trying to embrace it a bit more. Very interesting documentary is what I'll say. If you're curious, check it out, but I can see it won't be for everyone. Now we have some special stuff. This is a 4K box set release of the first Doctor Who film, Doctor Who and the Daleks. I've done a full review of this, again, like many other stuff, so if you want me to unbox it, then you can check that out. But this is a gorgeously presented set, as is the sequel, Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, which some would say is the better film. It's debatable, I think, personal preference, but these are gorgeous releases, and the 4K transfers are marvellous. Then we have some more steelbook action, this time of the animated stories. So we have Galaxy 4, which is the only Hartnell steelbook, I think, that has come out so far. We have The Power of the Daleks. This is from 2016, so this is the original animation, not the updated 2021, but that artwork's gorgeous, man. What can I say? You have the Macra Terror steelbook there. The TARDIS is often at the centre of these, if you haven't noticed already. And then you have the faceless ones with that plane in the background. Travel Your Way. Love that, like an ad. I think that's really cool. Then we have The Evil of the Daleks. Gorgeous artwork, by the way. Look at that Emperor Dalek towering over. And again, I've already sung my praises of the story. The Abominable Snowmen. Again, the last animated release at the moment, but a really nice, eerie cover there. We have The Web of Fear, a special edition. Say what you will about episode 3, but I love this artwork and this story too, to be honest. Fury from the Deep, with those tentacles grappling with the TARDIS. That's really cool as well. You have Doctor Who and the Daleks. This is the 4K release on Steelbook. I wanted... There were previous Blu-ray releases of these two movies on Steelbook, but again, at the time they became very hard to find. I think they were Xavier exclusives, like 2,000 copies each. They've come down, obviously, in value, but I mean, just to own these is gorgeous, so big fan of that. I also have Dalek Invasion Earth on Steelbook as well. Now we get into some CDs. Now, this is what I meant right at the start about the missing episodes. So the missing episodes that haven't been animated or haven't been released on DVD or Blu-ray in some form, I've got the audio soundtracks, which all survive, and have them on the shelf. So we have Marco Polo, which is an excellent 7-part story. Highly recommend that. The Mythmakers from Season 3. I didn't really gel with this one. I'm going to be honest. Maybe if I saw visuals, it'd be different. But yeah, not one of my favourites, sadly. Then we have the Daleks Master Plan, the epic 12-part beast. This also contains Mission to the Unknown, which is a bonus. Wonderful story, even just to listen to on audio. We have the Celestial Toymaker, one of the more surreal early Doctor Who adventures. We have The Savages, which sees Stephen leave, of course. This is a bonus disc from the set, The Lost Episodes, which again is just a documentary about exactly that. Case is a little beaten up though, isn't it? Then into the Troughton era, we've got The Highlanders, which, if the rumours about Underwater Menace being animated are true, this will make The Highlanders the only Season 4 story that needs to be animated, so hopefully that will happen. Then we've got The Wheel in Space, which is the only Season 5 story that needs to be animated, so hopefully that'll come soon too. And then The Space Pirates, oh look at that, one from each season. So The Space Pirates is the only story from Season 6 that needs some animation. Not everyone's favourite, even the episode we have, but you never know. If this gets found or animated, maybe this will be like The Enemy of the World. Maybe there'll be a newfound appreciation. We'll have to wait and see. And then lastly, I have this, Death Comes to Time. Now this was a webcast that then got a CD release around 2001, 2002. I haven't listened to it all the way through yet, and I've heard very mixed things about it. But it's got Sylvester McCoy, Stephen Fry's in it as well, so it's an interesting oddity nonetheless. Then just very quickly, on the bottom shelf here is my limited edition Blu-ray sets, so you know, the original ones they come out in. So anytime a standard edition one comes out, the bigger ones come down here, so they've got their own place. So as it stands at the minute, again, time of recording, there's 8 of these now down here. The 9th one's about to be added when the Season 24 standard edition comes out, and I'm happy to display them like this. So there you are, folks. In a nutshell, that is my Doctor Who DVD and Blu-ray collection as it currently stands. It has changed a lot over the years, like especially from when I first started doing YouTube back in 2012. You know, I had a very small DVD collection, no Blu-rays at all, no steelbooks, so to see it all expand on these shelves and see what it's become is really heartwarming for me. It represents a big journey, you know, a big journey of myself as a fan, going from a child to an adult, and how I've experienced Doctor Who, and it's great to have a collection like this. Obviously, I'm still missing some things, like I'm very aware I don't have Torchwood, and don't get me wrong, I do like Torchwood. I do want to get a Blu-ray of those at some point. I just haven't got around to it yet. I think there's probably some other stuff I'm missing, isn't there? Some of the steelbooks, like I don't have the Sharda steelbook, or as I said earlier, the Spearhead from Space one. But you know, all of it, all in good time. All in good time. So I can't wait to see in a couple years how this collection will change and evolve as it goes on. But if you enjoyed this mammoth long video, please do leave a like on it. We really appreciate it. And also subscribe to us here at AMTV Who. We're still very young at this point. We're trying to grow and flourish, so we'd love to have you aboard with us. It'd mean the world. I've been Adam Martin from AMTV Who. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.